Look at that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask Chris Anything. It's a, it's a thing we do live occasionally just because we can, and it's good to see you all. Let's see if we can bring Chris in. There you go. Hi, Chris.
Hello. And hello. We have a few people here already. Chuck
Yeah,
Parker, good to see you. Eileen Hovick. And yeah, so it sounds like Eileen's issue is still going on. We talked about this the other day. Peggy George.
yeah. A few up here. Hey, Jalen. And who else?
So
Rod.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's about it.
this is wide open. So people have any questions? Now, I know I was really late in sending out notices for today. So we didn't get many questions via email. So I have a few questions that are just frequently asked questions, and that's because they are frequently asked. So I've written down a few of those that we can deal with. But please, if anybody has a question about using Google Photos, put it in the comments and we will deal with it.
Okay.
So actually, this FAQ, yes, how perfect. The FAQ really is a frequently asked question because it is also one that got emailed in. Jim, if you would put up Derek Gurney's, I put it in the banners. Derek Gurney has basically that question. I take pictures and I see the pictures on the phone that took them, but I don't see the pictures anywhere else. In Derek's case, he says that oops, nope, wrong one. Must have been Alice Anderson's. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, but she says that she's been using Google Photos for a long time with no problems. And now she got a new camera. She gave her husband, I guess, her old camera. And we changed our email to Gmail. I think that is the key right there because she says we have used either phone to take pictures, but can't get either to show up in Google Photos on our computer. It's all about the accounts, and the account is represented by the email. So my guess, I mean, this is kind of troubleshooting. And for troubleshooting, I need to see your phones. And if you are a premium member of Geeks on Tour, I'm happy to schedule a Zoom call and actually look at what you're seeing and see if we can figure it out. But here's my guess. If you just now changed your email to Gmail, that tells me you were using something else before. So even if you have an AOL email address, if you use that as your Google account, that's where all your photos are. All the photos from your old cameras, even from your new ones, depending on where you tell your phone to back it up to. So I do want to show you this. So she says she got an S22. Well, I have an S21, but it's pretty much the same. So here is my S21. And if I tap on the Photos app, the Google Photos app, in the upper right-hand corner, I call that the account button. So that is the account whose photos I am looking at right now. Now I have access to other people's accounts. If I tap on this and tap the little down arrow, you can see that I have access to Alan Gott's account. If I tap on that, I'm going to see a different bunch of photos. This is not my Google account. This is Alan's Google account. And If I take a new picture, where does it go? That's in the settings. So I'm going to go back to my account and I'm going to show you settings. Tap the account button and then photos settings. Okay. And backup and sync. Right here, it's telling me the account. If you think of accounts like your storage box, your safe deposit box in the sky, in the cloud, that is the ID in front of that box. So if what's here is an AOL address, it's going to the box up in the Google Cloud that is labeled with your AOL address. And if you're viewing pictures in your Gmail address, that's a completely different box. So I hope that makes sense. You have to coordinate the count. I'm hearing an echo, Jim. Is maybe your volume up a little loud or something?
Let me check.
Out of your speakers. I don't know if anybody else is. Could be just me because I'm in the same house. So that's the issue with when you're not seeing the photos you think you should be seeing. Either your phone is uploading them to the wrong account, or when you look at them on the computer, you're looking at a different account. So check all those places where account shows up and make sure they all agree. Ooh, I see we're getting some questions in. Let's deal with the one more that came in with email. And that was the Derek Gurney one. And I'll leave my FAQs for if we run out. So Derek says, Google Photos isn't being improved much these days, but it's no longer free. While there are many features I like, I'm annoyed by the process of adding photos to albums on the web. And he goes on, his email was a little bit longer, but I want to deal with the first question first. Google Photos isn't being improved much these days. Well, it means there are still some features that I've been asking for years that they haven't dealt with. That is absolutely true. But it is being improved. For example, one of my favorite features is the little movie maker. And for the last year or so, there's been a problem with it. It seems to be fixed now. So that I am very happy about. I can now go back to making my little movies whenever I want to. And, stay tuned next week. This week, on Thursday and Friday, Google is flying me up to New York for a conference of product experts, not just Google Photos, all products, but hopefully I will be learning what's in the works and what's going on now. And our next Sunday's show, we will give an update on Google Photos. So whatever has been improved, we will let you know. But you say that since it is no longer free, you want to switch to something else. You're not going to find anything else that comes any to Google Photos and for the price. There is no free. Now, people might say Amazon Photos, and that is probably the closest. I mean, if I had to give up Google Photos, I do already use Amazon Photos. But number one, you have to be an Amazon Prime member for the storage to be free. And number two, even if you are an Amazon Prime member, the storage for your photos is only free for photos. Then you have just 5 gigabytes of storage for videos. That gets filled up right away. And you have to pay And I think it's basically the same pricing, $20 a year for 100 gigabytes on Amazon Photos. And we did a whole show on this. If you are serious and you want to change to something else, we did a whole show, episode 227. And if you don't know what I mean by that, let me show you. So to my screen, Jim, we go to geeksontour.com. At geeksontour.com, that's our main website, we have a YouTube show. And if you click on that, we've done 235 episodes of these YouTube shows on all sorts of technology, mostly with travelers in mind. But episode, what did I say? 227. Google Photo, no, 227. Yeah, Google Photos favorite features and comparison to Amazon Photos. So I would recommend you look through that. And the last thing he said on his email, let me see if I can find it, was, so he asked, what alternatives to Google Photos do you like? Apple Photos would be too expensive for me. And I may not always be a Prime member, so Amazon Photos might not be good either. There isn't anything that's free. Flickr was one of the most well-known, and their prices have gone way up. But I love Derek's PS. Here's why I may stick with Google Photos. I knew I had some photos taken in Switzerland that were not geotagged. I searched Switzerland in Google Photos, and it found some of the photos based on the mountains and streets that were in the photo. Impressive. Yes, it is, and that is my number one reason. Well, the number one reason for Google Photos is that it stores all of your photos. I can upload old photos from all sorts of different sources until I'm satisfied that my entire life is in Google Photos. And then I can search. And even for those old photos that weren't geotagged, it often finds them. So I think that's worth $20 a year. And if you maybe don't have the thousands of pictures that I do, you might be able to live within the free 15 gigabyte amount. Yeah, you're muted, but yeah. Okay. Yes, let's get into some of the current questions. No, you're still muted. Or we can't hear you. How do you share all photos?
Here we go.
There you go.
I'm so sorry. Share all your photos, with someone.
With someone. There is no way to share all of your photos with just anyone. You can share your entire library with one partner. So that's what it's called. It's called partner sharing. And we do it. I love that. So let me share my screen. And these are all my photos. But if I want to see, if I know that Jim just took a photo and I didn't get it, I can go into sharing. And here is Jim's photos. And I now can see anything in his entire library of photos. But that can only be done with one person. So other than that, you can make an album, and an album can have up to 20,000 photos in it. So for example, if you have 40,000 photos, you could put 20,000 of them in one album, share that with the person, put another 20,000 in another album, share that with the person.
That's excessive.
That's true. I agree.
Okay. How about, what's the best app to resize or reduce a Google photo album to fit in a thumbnail or a profile pic?
Yeah. I don't know. The way I do it is I take a screen grab So if I have a photo in Google Photos, I will leave it at the thumbnail size. I will use my screen capture utility and just capture that, and it will be tiny. Oh, other than that, what I use is Snagit. My tool is Snagit, but there's all sorts of them. Snagit is a screen capture and manipulation tool. And you do have the ability in Snagit to take any image on your screen and to save it, to adjust it to any size you want. Yeah, that's what I use is Snagit.
Okay, Tom, how can I take my photos out of Google Photos and put them in on a hard drive to free up space in the cloud?
Huh. Uh, yes, but it's not that easy. I highly recommend that you download your photos to a local hard drive. I just do that for my best photos, so my albums. And let me show you how. Sharing my screen. If I go to albums, so this album, this Italy trip, our great album from the last month, we spent the whole month in Italy. I can open the album, click the three dots, and download all. And I can download that anywhere I want, in my C drive or on an external hard drive, wherever. But notice that it makes a zip, which is fine, but you just have to know that it makes a zip. It doesn't actually download the individual photos. It downloads a zip, then you have to unzip it. But now your question was, how do I then free up the space on my computer, on the cloud? You would have to find those same photos and delete them, move to trash. So it would be a two-step process. I'd have to select everything here and then move to trash. But I wouldn't want to do that. But that would be how you do it. You can download pictures to a hard drive. Then you would have to go back and delete those same pictures, move them to the trash.
Okay, Al wants to know on an iPhone, when someone texts me a photo, it does seem to show up in Google Photos on my iPhone, even if I don't do anything. But then I try and put them in an existing album and I can't find the album.
All right. Somebody texted you a photo in your iPhone. Wonder if I can find such a thing. And it shows up in Google Photos. I thought you had to save it. I thought you had to save it for it to show up in Google Photos, because while it's just in the message, it's within the envelope of the message. But iPhone works a little bit differently than Android does, in that all photos are in one bucket. So not sure about that. But then what was the second part of the question?
When I try and put them in an existing album, I can't find the album.
Can't find the album. Well, that doesn't make... Okay. So an album should be in your Google Photo. Oh, I'll bet you're confusing. I'm not sure. I'd have to see your screens, but I'll bet you're confusing the Apple Photos with the Google Photos. So here, let me show my document camera. And when I say Apple Photos, I'm talking about this little flowery icon. That is the Apple Photos. If you make an album here, that is owned by Apple Photos. Google Photos has no clue what albums you've made in Apple Photos. And Apple Photos has no clue what albums you've made in Google Photos, which is why I say, if you're going to use Google Photos, don't use Apple Photos. You can look at it once in a while if you want, but every photo you take with your iPhone shows up in Google Photos, whether you've turned on backup and sync or not. Google Photos is a replacement for Apple Photos. It is not an additional program for some other stuff. It is a replacement, and albums is the main issue there.
All right, Jan. Hi, I love Google Photos, but I'm always frustrated that once I upload them from my iPhone, they show as doubles on my iPad. A browser shows them as singles. Why am I seeing double on my iPad? Have you had your eyes checked recently?
Okay. Well, you should not be seeing doubles on your iPad. So something else is going on. There's some other process going on. And I remember doing some investigation and figuring this out for one person once. I don't remember what it was, but let me just prove to you. I'm showing my iPhone here, and here are my photos. So, and if I go to my iPad, I should be seeing the exact same photos and with no duplicates. So here's my iPad, and I open Google Photos. Oops, low battery. And yeah, these are the same photos, and they are not duplicated. So something else is going on. Something else is replicating them. There's some other process somewhere. Do you have another backup system? I'm not sure, but all I can say is that shouldn't be happening. You have some other process going on that is uploading photos.
Bill asked, we keep having trouble staying in focus with our Note 5 and 9 cameras while videoing. Autofocus keeps going in and out of focus. Maybe a different camera app would help?
Yeah, now there you're talking about your camera, not Google Photos. The camera app, autofocus. Well, have you looked at the settings for autofocus? Obviously, I would hope that wouldn't happen, but in my Android, in the camera, so you have to open the camera app and then tap settings, and let's see what there is on tracking autofocus. Keep the rear camera's focus on the selected subject even if they move. If that's on, try turning it off. If it's off, try turning it on. That's my thought.
Okay. Mark, I have 5 different Google accounts. Is there any way I can combine the photos in each to be in one Google account?
Yes, it's actually fairly painless. Now, most people ask this question with just 2 accounts. So with 5 accounts, you're just going to have to rinse and repeat the process I'm going to tell you. Remember me telling you about partner sharing? The point is, you can share your entire library of pictures with one other person, one other account. So follow me with this and I'll show you the details. If you want account A to collect all the photos from B, C, D, and E, you log into account A and you ask B to share all its photos with A. And then in A, you say, all those photos that are shared with me, save them. So let me show you what that looks like in Google Photos. Here's Google Photos. And it's under settings. So I tap the account button at the top and then photo settings. And partner sharing. So Jim, I'm still getting an echo, Jim. Jim can see all of my photos because I have set him up as my partner and shared. He can access all of my photos. He can also access their locations. Jim has also shared his whole account with me, but I don't want all his photos in my account. I just want to be able to see them, except for pictures that he takes of me. So I have said that if he takes pictures of either me or him, I do want those saved. So what you would check is all photos. Okay, so do you get that? Account 1 is going to be the one that you want everything to go to. Go to account 2. Turn on partner sharing to account 1. And in account 1, specify that you want every photo saved. Do that process with the first account, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. And you will end up with account 1 that has everything in it. Note, however, if you have made albums in any of the other accounts, they do not come across. Just the photos and the videos themselves. Can't hear you.
Judy has a question. How do I select photos and hit the plus sign to get the option to create a collage? Is there a way to change the order of the images within the collage? Maybe your speaker is up a little bit too high. I've tried changing the order of the selections, but I can't control the order.
Okay.
Does this make sense?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So first of all, what she's talking about, either on a computer or on the phone, I'll do it on the phone. If I want to select these pictures of flowers, I had 4 pictures of flowers, and make a collage out of them, you select the pictures, you tap the plus, you choose collage. And that's it. It makes the collage for you. You have no choice, no control over the parameters of the collage, which ones are first, etc. So if you just want to stick some pictures together, you can add them to a collage using Google Photos. If you don't like what you get, you got to use another tool. And that's the one thing that I still use Picasa for. Picasa's collage maker is awesome. So I download the pictures from Google Photos to my computer, then open them up in Picasa and use the collage tools there.
Okay, Don. I have Google Photos and I have been putting photos in it. However, from years of taking photos, I have thousands of photos all over my computer. Is there a simple way to get them all into Google Photos?
Well, define simple. I mean, there is a way. There is a way, and it's called Google Drive for Desktop. And I have a video on how to do it. It used to be called Backup and Sync, but it's now called Google Drive for Desktop. And if you install it on your computer and tell it that you want to upload to Google Photos and tell it that you want it to look through your whole computer for the photos to upload, it does it. You know, the first time I did that, it took a couple weeks because I have so many photos, but it does it. And I have a video on that. Let me show you how to find the video. At geeksontour.com, under tutorials and all videos. And it was about Drive for Desktop. So, I mean, I have, what's this, 740 some odd tutorial videos here. But if you do a Control F to search this list of videos and search for Drive, here we go. Upload to Google Photos using Google Drive for desktop. Number 705. Number 705 steps you through how to install Google Drive for desktop and just use it for uploading photos from your computer to Google Photos. They should have a separate app for this. You know, Google Drive and Google Photos used to be related. They are not any longer, except in this app. It serves both purposes, but that's how to do it. Number 705. Can't hear you.
I have an ongoing problem with photos of my dogs. I've had two dogs, both that looks a little similar in the face, and they're both named as the same dog. Can you fix that?
Oh, you mean, I thought you meant the dogs actually did have the same name. No, you're saying that just Google Photos has misnamed one. Well, okay. So I'm going to show on the computer here. You can manually change, but you would have to go to each one. You know, there's no easy way. But if I go to Explore on the computer, and there's a couple dog pictures in here that are identified. Let's see. Well, let me just search for dogs. And that's not a dog. Okay. So here. So this dog is not even showing up as a face. So bad example. The thing to know for those of you who don't use this feature is that now we know that this is Augie. So let's see if yeah, there we go. When Google Photos has identified a face, and it can be a face of a person or a pet, when you open the picture full screen, you will see a section over on the right if you have info open. So that's the little I here. You need to have the info panel open. Then you have a section for people and pets. If this pet has been misidentified, you click on the pencil. Or if he's not identified at all, and I don't think that is him, you can click on it. That takes you out to here, and you can give it a name. So this dog has been identified properly, except for that's not the same dog. It's just a similar dog. You can add the name. Okay. Now we can go back to this one, and it says that that's Augie. I'm pretty sure it's not. So I click the pencil, and I click the minus. That takes that picture out of the Augie album. So now if I went back, it's taking some time here for some reason. Now if I went back and searched for Augie, this picture would not be in it because I removed that using the info panel. There we go. See? Okay.
Hello, Chris. I've had an ongoing problem. Whoop, that one looks similar. Yeah. How do you fix it? Got it. Google Photos is changing constantly. Improvement is in the eye of the beholder. Thank you, Andrew.
Ain't that the truth, Andrew? Yes, ain't that the truth? For example, and this is just a question that I want to deal with because I think it's so important. Google Photos has, with it sometime in the last year, added a new feature, a brand new feature called Locked Folder. Now, they did this because people wanted, imagine that you work for product development at Tesla and you take pictures of prototype cars. You don't want anybody who you happen to hand your phone to be able to see that picture. You don't want them to see it. No way, no how. That's what locked folder is for. If you put a picture into the locked folder, it takes it out of Google Photos. It takes it out of any gallery in your phone, and it puts it in a special locked folder on your phone. In my opinion, none of you should use this. Do not use locked folder unless you really, really, really understand it, because, as I say, it takes it out of Google Photos. It is no longer backed up. It only exists in that locked folder. And that locked folder disappears if you uninstall and reinstall Google Photos, which we often tell people to do when they have a problem. So, bottom line, yes, I agree. There are some things that are new features that I don't like. I do not like the locked folder.
Okay. How do I keep getting that? I saw the Google charge me $21 and I didn't know what it was for. How do you unshare an album?
Oh, to $21. It seems like it should have been 20 for the start. But in any case, you know that you can, on your phone, if you open your Google Pay app, pretty sure that's where it is, you can see whatever you've been charged for. So if you need to find out what is Google charging me for, open your Google Pay app. Wait a minute. There was the second part of the question.
How to unshare an album?
How to unshare an album. Okay, I can show that. So on the screen, doing a screen share. If I see my sharing. If I go to my albums, and here is my Italy trip. If for some reason I say, I don't like sharing this album, if you click on the 3-dot menu and options, link sharing, you would turn that off. You would turn that off, and it's no longer shared. So that's how.
All right, let's see. Where are we? All right. Until you told us about this, I didn't realize if I deleted photos on my phone, it also deleted them from iCloud. Peggy.
That is something to really understand, yes. If you open Google Photos and use the trash can, you're saying that photo is garbage, and Google Photos deletes it from everywhere, including the phone, the device. Now it's iCloud that notices, this is an iCloud issue a lot more than it is a Google Photos issue. iCloud's job is to keep all your devices in sync. Make sure that your Mac, your iPad, and your iPhone all have the same pictures. Add from one, it adds to all the others. Delete from one, it deletes from all the others. Google Photos deleted it from the phone. It's iCloud that notices it's gone and makes the others be the same. So, yeah.
Does Drive for Desktop work with an ARM processor yet?
Not to my knowledge. No, that is one issue. You can't use Drive for Desktop on the.
You have to use the web-based. Oh, Peggy has the dog problem with twin daughters.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that.
But what's amazing is that sometimes it gets them right, doesn't it? I mean, that's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people say it's unbelievable how Google Photos can see the difference between twins better than I can.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference. I have several friends with twins. Okay. I guess we can go over to the facts then. After we do, maybe we'll do a quick little one of these here.
How about a quick little advertisement for the book? I keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to
there
do
you
that.
go.
The book is alive, updates, references, yeah, all of that stuff. So, yeah, check it out. LGP book online. It's really something that you should do.
Now that's supposed to be for people who already have the book, but and the book you can get at learngoogle.photos.com or right on Geeks on Tour. There's a link.
Oh, this was something already in there.
Yeah. That's those are just for if I wanted to use an image.
Ah, okay. Very cool. All right, we'll go over to here then. Forget that. There we go. I take pictures of my iPhone and I see them right away in Google Photos app. I don't see them on my iPad in the Google Photos app. What's going on?
Yeah, I talked about this in general. So it probably has to do with accounts. You probably, and okay, two things. Number one, Google Photos on your iPhone is a replacement for the Apple Photos. So as soon as you take a picture on your iPhone, you'll see it in Google Photos. Whether it's been, you'll see it in the Google Photos app. The Google Photos app sees the photos that are on the device and the photos that are in your cloud account. Then its job is to upload the photos from the device to your Google Photos account in the cloud. Once they're there, then your iPad can see them if it's logged in, if it's looking at the same account. So that's two things. Number one, your Google Photos might not have gotten there yet. Only after they've been uploaded to the cloud will you see them on your iPad. Number two, they might be getting uploaded to an account which is different from the one you're looking at with your iPad. So those two things are the issue.
Peggy wants to know if she has the book on Kindle. Would she get up notified if there are updates?
I don't think so, Jim.
I don't
Seems
think
like
so
we
either.
tried to figure out a way to do that, and we haven't. So what I do is I just keep a running list of updates to Google Photos on that companion web page, that lgpbook.online. I keep a running tab of everything I know about that has changed in Google Photos. And then I have been told that I have to update the book once a year. So I'm putting that on my calendar for July. But I'm still leaving the updates on that web page in place. So you don't have to buy a new book, but we will let you know if and when there is a new updated version.
Okay. How do I get old printed photos into my Google Photos library?
Okay, and I grabbed a couple for that. I think the best way is just to get the old photo, take a picture of it with your phone. It really does a pretty good job. Rather than buying a fancy scanner or paying a service, you can do that too, but pretty good. So let me give you an example. I'm going to use the document camera for this, and I'm gonna get it up a bit. So here is an old photo of mine from sometime around 1983, I think. All right. And that's me. That's me going off a slide into the ocean. So I could just use the camera of my phone and snap it. But notice, can you? No, you can't. This is really tough. Notice all the glare that is on my phone. Well, I can either, that's the only important part, so I can just take a picture of that. Yeah, and then I can crop that glare out. But if I couldn't crop it out, Google Photos has something called Photo Scan. Where it is has changed a little bit. So if you ever used Google Photo Scan before and can't find it now, let me show you. You open the Google Photos app. It's under Library, and then Utilities, and then Import Photos. And there's several different ways. You can import from a service. You did send them off to a service, and now you want to bring them in. Or here's the one that I recommend: just scan photos with your phone using Photo Scan. Now, I think you may have needed to install Photo Scan as a separate app before it shows up there. I'm not sure about that. I don't remember. So now I'm going to take a picture of this picture, and it will eliminate the glare. Let me show you how. There. So because when I go to snap a photo, it doesn't take it right away. It sets up these 4 dots that I have to circle all 4. So it's actually taking 5 pictures, one main one, and then one for each dot. And in the process, it gets rid of the glare. And now it's in Google Photos. So
Focus.
Thank you. Yeah, so now it's in Google Photos. So I can use my in Google Photos. Yeah. I can use my editing, my Google Photos editing, to make it even better. I mean, I honestly think that some of my pictures that I've taken from old prints look better than the originals, because I can do a pop, for example. There. Just like that. Now you really see me. It was kind of hard to see me in the original picture. And I'm done and save. But now what's the problem? There's one more problem. And that is, what date does this picture have? It has today's date. It says that this picture was taken June 2022. Well, and that's because it was. I just snapped it. But the original photo was taken somewhere in 83? So what you do is you just tap the pencil next to the date. And it looks like it was summer. So I'm going to say, well, June 20 is fine. And 1983. And done. I didn't do an okay somehow. 83. It is done. So that picture of me is now back in 1983. There. So that's how I say to get old pictures into your phone.
Okay.
Just by taking the picture with the phone, it's in Google Photos.
All right. Peggy's wondering where the companion link to the book is. Well, if you have the book, it's on every chapter.
Yep.
Beginning, it's lgpbook.online. So if you look in the book, you'll see it referenced. And if you're on the Kindle version, you can just click the link.
You can look at the document camera. and this is the book. And on page 1, this book is alive, lgpbook.online. And yeah, that is repeated at the beginning of every chapter.
Okay. And where are we going here? Does deleting from Google Photos on Android work the same as on Apple?
It well depends on what you mean. I mean, generally, yes. On Android, Google Photos, or let's say Samsung, because Samsung has its own photo gallery, just like iPhone does. Some phones only have Google Photos as the photo management tool, and that's great. If you're on a Samsung, if you delete using Google Photos, it deletes it from the phone. Therefore, it is not available to be seen using Samsung Gallery. So but there is no equivalent to iCloud on the Android. So there it is a little bit different.
Okay, is there a way to set up an icon to go to photo scan directly?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking on mine. I haven't, yeah. Okay, so here is my Android phone, and I went into my all apps and searched for photo scan, and there it is. So I can long press on that, add to home, and there it is. So photo scan, and now that is the photo scan that I showed you a minute ago.
All right. Great. Pop did a great job. Good. I'll check again. If you use photo scan, is there a way to date the photos?
I think hopefully she wrote that before I showed it. I did show you can change the date. And that is something that has improved with Google Photos. It used to be that you could only do that on the computer, and then it happened to the iPhone, and now it's on the Android. So you can change the date on all. One thing to know though, it's only changing the date in the Google Photos database. So if you download that photo somewhere else, it'll have today's date on it again. The date change does not get written to the metadata.
Okay, Al, on the iPhone, still can't seem to find the album I want, which I know I created. Previous comments by
Okay.
Chris. It was not on Apple Photos. It was on Google Photos. He's
Okay. Well,
sure.
let me show you one trick then. Okay. Oh, you were on iPhone. So let me use my iPhone. And here's Google Photos. And here I have tons and tons of albums. So if there's no way I can find an album from a few years ago just by looking through. But so here I see one, 2015 England. So that's a long time ago. Let's say I'm looking for that. I scroll through and my eyes just can't see it. I can search for England. And notice in the search results, if I just tap on England, that's going to show me every photo that is geotagged with England. But this one, that means an album. So that is my album of 2015 England. So search is your friend. And if search doesn't find it, and maybe you're not remembering what you called it. I don't know.
Okay. So it might be out of order.
And ordering albums. Here's something I'd like to show because most people don't know about this capability. So back to the phone. In Google Photos. Okay, get this. There we go. So under library, here are all my albums. I can, and the one with the most recent photo in it is on top. So Jim and Chris, Bob Enne, this is something I just made. So the most recent photos, 2022, all Italy, are on top. What if I don't want it that way? I want it alphabetical. If you tap where it says most recent photo, you have other choices. You can sort by album title. Now notice instantly, it now starts with this album that starts with an asterisk and an A. That will make it absolutely very first. And then there's -ALL. I made a lot of ALL albums, so they're all first. So that was right at the top of the list. Tap right there, and then make it be whatever you want. You have your choice of most recent photo, most recent modified, last modified, or album type.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
How do I add? Okay. Okay. So you found the album. Now, how do you add? On the phone, there's a button right there that says Add Photos. Or it might, if you've never added any photo, it might be at the top with a little plus. But you tap Add Photos, and now it takes if your album generally has photos from one period of time, when you tap the Add Photos button, it'll take you to your library in that period of time. Now the problem is, this is the one feature I have been asking for since the beginning. That means 7 years. Since 2015, I have been asking for a way to search when we get to this screen. Add a picture. It takes me to my library, but I have no search ability there for finding what I want. But that's how you do it. Add photo.
Okay. I'm at the end of the questions. We're at the end of the hour. It's just perfect.
Perfect.
So.
Perfect. All right. Just want to remind everybody, number one, you can buy the book at learngoogle.photos.com. Number two, put on your calendar to watch our show this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. I will have just returned from the Google Product Experts Summit, and hopefully I'll have some cool stuff to share with you.
Okay.
Google Photos. Yeah. Our topic this Sunday will be Google Photos.
Okay. That's always good to let you know. And we'll be there at 2:00 on Sunday. That's Eastern time. And let's see, a couple of things here. Very nice tips. Lots of thanks. Great. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Prego, prego.
Va bene.
Va bene.
Va bene.
Okay, cool stuff. Anyway.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Ciao. And be safe, okay?